Hello and welcome to the Alumni Lounge, the first, only, and best Montreal Canadiens alumni podcast. I'm Chantal Desjardins, joined by my favorite former Montreal Canadien, and I'm not just saying that because he's staring at me right now, Patrice Brisebois.
Hello, Chantal. Thank you. You're my favorite too.
Oh, you're just saying that because I'm staring at you. That's cool. The Alumni Lounge brought to you by ScotiaAdvice Plus. A simple conversation today can help you reach your goals tomorrow, only from Scotiabank. Now, in just a moment, we'll chat with former Montreal Canadiens captain Chris Chelios. But first, the fans want to know more about you. So before the show, we were talking about skiing. You're a big skier. You love to ski.
I love to ski, but this year I didn't ski. With the pandemic, that was hard to get tickets. Usually I ski in Mont-Tremblant, but this year I didn't ski. But I love skiing. I love the speed. In 2004, the lockout year, I ski for like almost 3 months with Mélanie Turgeon, who was one of the best Canadian female skier. And she taught me a lot of things. And at the end, I was doing gates, so the speed, my ski was carving, I was fun. I had so much fun. Every morning I was on the slope, and I really enjoyed that year, even if I was losing a lot of money.
Right. That probably made you feel a little bit better. How much did you do when you were playing? Were you told not to do activities where you could get hurt and you just kind of
exactly,
you know what? Anymore. You're retired now. You can't get in trouble for telling me.
No, I know. But the thing is, a lot of people, they always ask me, say, why the hockey players, they only play golf? Why they don't do something else? Because golf, it's not an extreme sport. It's just, okay, you hit the ball and that's it. So that's why you're not allowed to ski, because if you get hurt, well, you're not going to get paid. Right. Simple as that. So same thing when I was racing. I have to sign a release. If I was not 100% top shape at the first day of the training camp, I'm not getting paid. And I take that risk because I said to myself, you have one life to live. Have fun, enjoy your life. And I have a good story, Chantal. I had a dinner with Michael Schumacher, the F1 driver for Ferrari. Yeah. And Michael was telling me, he says, you know what? When you're afraid to do something, that's how you're going to get hurt. Mm. He says to me, you know what? If you're doing the sport and you're really focus 100%, he says, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. But if you have a doubt doing something, maybe you're going to get hurt. Hmm. So every time I was, driving my car or skiing, I was focusing and enjoy it and have fun.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
It makes sense though, right? If you're in it and you're 100%, it would make sense that you would be less likely to fall over. Whereas if you're skiing and you're like, oh dear, if I get hurt, and then of course you're going to fall over, it's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Another question. When you were playing, most fun road trip you went on with the guys, is there a good story of you guys, getting lost in, after a night out and having to take a bus home at 4 a.m.? Tell us a story we don't know.
You know what? I really enjoy, when we're going in the West, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg back then, in the 90s, because we feel like we're playing at home, because so many Montreal Canadiens fans, and everywhere you're going after at the bar, people loves you. And Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton, that was a very good feeling. You feel very, very special. And that was great games. That's so many nights. There was Saturday night hockey in Canada, and you're playing in front of so many people, and great memories. That was fun time.
Do you have any most memorable or the funniest fan experiences? Did someone ever come up to you with a cardboard cutout of Patrice Brisebois and you have to take a picture?
have to think about that. Well, you know, sometimes you met people, Chantal, you know, they ask you something or they ask you to sign things. Sometimes you're like, you want me to sign that? Like, are you
like
sure?
What? Like boobs?
Yeah, something like that, you know, something like that. And you're like, well, you know what, I'm sorry, but well, you know, I'm sorry.
Right. All right. I know you're a board game guy. What is your favorite board game?
Now it's, you know, when I was young and when my mom was alive, I was playing Skimbo with my mom. I don't know if you know that game. It's a game card and that's a fun game. But now,
what's it called? You cut out there.
Rummy Cube.
Okay, so I have something to admit.
Yeah.
I saw you and Nadia playing Rummy Cub on one of your Instagrams a few months ago, and I love a good board game. So I actually ordered it based on your Instagram post, and now it is my favorite board game.
You know what, Chantal? Every night, me and Nadia were playing. It's good. You know what? It's good because it's good for the mental. Because, you know, the game, you have to look the board and, you know, mix the numbers and stuff like that. So I really, really enjoyed that game. And me and Nadia were really, really competitive. So sometimes I don't know why you're doing that, this and that. And we have some little argument, but at the end, everything's fine.
It reminds me of the Queen's Gambit because after I go to bed, I see the moves on the ceiling.
The numbers in your head, yeah. I should do this. I should. Oh no. Yes, you're right. I'm like that too, Chantal. Yeah.
For my wedding, for my first wedding, I actually was registered at Toys R Us. So board games were my thing. I don't want to say that was my maturity level at the time I got married for the first time, but I have many, many board games.
Why not? It's fun time. I like board game. I like it.
And now we're learning fun things about you. We know you hate bad drivers. We know you're on TikTok. Give me one more fun fact about you.
You cut me now. Fun fact. I don't know.
Could be anything. Could be your pet, your dog's name when you were a kid.
I told you I don't have a dog when I was young.
Who doesn't have a dog when they were a kid? I feel like
I don't know. My parents, they were not, you know what? They never think about it. Or I never asked for a dog because I was so, you know, focusing on, you know, on hockey in school. So I didn't have time to have a dog. And it's funny because when my parents moved to Saint Donat, they bought not one, but they bought 2 dogs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've got something to show you. This is my dog, and you can have him anytime.
Oh, so cute. Look at him.
Anyways, all right. Well, you're off the hook if you can't think of a fun fact for today. The fun fact is you didn't have a dog.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't have a dog.
Introducing Advice Plus. A new way to create a plan, together, that keeps you heading in the right direction. We start by getting to know you better. Then, we'll work together to build a plan that grows with you, adding personalized products and solutions along the way that can help you reach your goals tomorrow. We get to know you better to guide you better. Today and tomorrow. Advice Plus, only from Scotiabank.
Now it's time to introduce former Montreal Canadiens captain, overall cool guy, and hell of a tan, Chris Chelios.
Yeah, I've lost a tanning war in the NHL. I've for sure won that every year, but yeah, it's been great. I mean, as far as, you know, this crazy year's gone, been lucky that I didn't have to work and had some good friends in Miami and all over Florida, and they let me stay with them. It's great. Now
show us, can you show us again that ocean view that we're missing in Montreal right now?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Okay,
let's live vicariously.
I don't think Montreal people are going to like this, but whatever. I'm sorry.
We'll enjoy it for sure.
Yeah. Not the sirens, but there you go, everybody.
Wow.
Oh, beautiful.
That is something else.
Don't mind the sirens. It's everywhere now.
So you're in Florida right now, but you were in LA.
Yeah.
Or you were in Malibu.
Yeah. Well, when COVID hit, obviously everybody was looking for a place to, isolate and get away. And in Chicago, Montreal, the winter cities, it was tough on the people there because you're stuck inside. There's not much to do. So like I said, I feel really lucky, and I'm not rubbing it into anybody. It's just, I've had that place for, almost 30 years out there. I've been out there. So it just worked out good with the kids and, everybody out of school, everybody out of work, and spent 4 or 5 months until, everything pretty much opened in Chicago, June, a little bit mid-June. So.
Right. That's great. In Malibu, back to that spot, I heard you were part of like a group of homeowners called the Malibu Mob, Kid Rock, John Cusack, Tony Danza, Kelsey Grammer. You must have the most amazing stories.
Well, it's great. I'll be honest. It's great in the summers to just have 2.5 months of living that Hollywood type. You train in the mornings, you spend the afternoons on the beach, you go out for dinners with those, a lot of those people you mentioned, the Malibu Mob. And me and Tony Danza started that back in like 1993. And it just kind of stuck. So we had a group of 15, 20 people, and our kids grew up together in the summers out there. And it was just a great, scene. And we took turns having dinners at people's houses. And but after 2.5 months, you get worn down, everybody getting together. And by September, when everybody's ready to go back to school and work, I can't wait to get back to the Midwest. And people are a lot different in the Midwest as they are in Malibu. So I'll just leave it at that.
Chris, I heard that rumor. I don't know if it's true.
Oh boy.
Talking about training. Yeah. Is that true? You were running the bike in the sauna.
Yeah, I still do. My kids
still do.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't miss too many days. Yeah, I was lucky in Montreal. I don't know if you were probably too young, Patrice, but the old Forum had that small sauna, and just started doing it in there. And it started in college, but I started getting some of the guys, to ride the bike in the sauna, and it was funny. It was just mostly just to sweat and warm up before the game, and then get the toxics out after. But it got blown up quite a bit that I was doing it to be in better shape. There's no truth to that. It's just a matter of sweating. It's actually cheating, like to sweat. So.
Another story that we heard that back in 2008, when you became the oldest active player to win the cup, and you brought it to your house, that it was just like the who's who of everybody that came by to see it.
Yeah, I mean, because of social media, word spreads quick. So whenever, someone heard that the cup was on the beach and it was open to the public, you're getting guys from Sylvester Stallone to, the Meathead. You guys would know Meathead from All in the Family, but like very prominent Tom Hanks. Kid Rock played a show later that night. Wayne Gretzky even came and wore a Detroit Red Wings hat, which was unbelievable. We got a picture of that, which we won't release, but no, it was, and Patrice, that the best thing about winning the cup, not only celebrating with your teammates, is to have your friends and family, how much they enjoy it. And that was one heck of a party we threw on the beach for sure.
Oh, that's yes. So I remember when we won in 93.
Yeah.
I pulled that party like, I can imagine. I was like 300 people, and everybody wanted a picture with the cup and with you. And I was a such great moment, and in sharing with your family and friends, it's great memories. You're right.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. But after like 2 days, the guys that carry the cups around, Mike and the other guy that escort the Stanley Cup, by the time they're done, they're so tired. So, but they enjoyed my parties. I'll tell you that. I had the cup
for sure.
So great. Speaking of winning the cup, when you won with the Habs in the 85-86 season, what were some of the highlights?
I mean, honestly, I thought after we won, I said, this is going to be easy. I'm playing on a great team, Montreal. I'm going to win 10 cups when I'm done. But I was too young, not too young, but the celebration, St. Catherine Street, the parade should have only lasted an hour and a half. It lasted 4 hours, maybe more, in the sun, hadn't drank for 2.5 months. So if I could do it all over again, I would have slowed down earlier. Got a little trouble. But no, the memory going down St. Catherine Street, ending up at the Forum, everybody being presented on stage. It was great. And there's no better place to win the Stanley Cup than in a Canadian city in Montreal, Toronto. And we did it early in my career. And it was great. It was one of the most memorable days of my life, sitting on the back of that car with Tom Curvers and just, seeing the people and how happy everybody was and the celebration of it. I'd never experienced anything of that size. So it was amazing.
I have to admit, Chris, I was there. I was
really?
there. I skipped school, never tell my mom. And you know what? And a few years after, that was me, in that parade. So it was great memories, Chris, honestly.
Yeah, the Quebec people got to experience it. Like I said, everybody from Quebec, aside from the Nordique fans, were there. It was amazing.
You're right.
I heard during playoffs that year that Coach Jean Perron didn't want the guys to be distracted by things like fun. So he made you stay in a hotel on the South Shore, didn't let you leave like a prison. You called it Alcatraz. Like, what was that about? You made T-shirts?
It was a great move by Jean Perron. I think Jacques Lemaire, I believe the year before, because Jacques Lemaire was my coach my first year. I think it was their idea that started putting us out there. And I'm almost positive, when Jean came in there, they didn't want to change a thing. Our team was up and coming. We had Patrick. We had a pretty good playoff run the year before with Steve Penny in the goal in the net, not expecting to do anything in the playoffs. We upset a few teams and made it the semifinals. But it was Alcatraz. I think it was a Sheraton or something. It was way out in the middle of nowhere. But it was a really smart idea. For our group of guys, it was good.
That's so good. Do you still have your T-shirt? The T-shirts that?
No way. No.
We currently have a curfew in Quebec. Did you follow many curfews in your day? Like, do you have any good stories of not following curfews? You won't get in trouble for telling us.
Honestly, when Pat Burns was there, it was a little tough because he's a cop, undercover cop. So he was smart. He made some moves by like hiding in the hotel lobby or. He was pretty sharp, but honestly, the night before games, we never went out. That's curfews were mostly the night before games. If things weren't going well for your team and you hit a bad patch, some of the coaches would have curfews, on the road a couple days, 3 days before games. But, for the most part, everybody really respected, the curfew rules and you don't want to let anybody down. So you had plenty of time to go out. It wasn't an issue, especially in Montreal. The Sundays were the big nights for us because, I should say we played every Saturday night. So Saturday nights you get to celebrate with everybody on the weekends. I don't think we lost a game on Saturday nights, hockey night in Canada, but every Monday we would lose. And they were wondering why that was happening.
But you know what, Chris, you're so right because my first coach was Pat Burns. And, even if we were playing on Saturday, so I was going out on Thursday in Laval, I was not downtown. And the next day in practice, Burnsy was, skating beside me, says, "You went out last night?" Yeah, I have a few beers. Hey, you know what? You better be careful because your job is not sure here. So,
right.
That was Burnsy. Always, put you on the spot and but how did he know that? He knows everything what's going on in the city, huh?
Yeah, he was a manager of people. And I'll tell you, the funniest story I'll remember involved Stéphane Richer. And Stéphane left, all right? He left and broke curfew. And Pat Burns, he just, whatever reason, he did undercover stuff. And he drove to Stéphane's house and parked outside and waited for Steph to get home till 3 a.m. And that's how we caught him.
No way.
Yes, true story. And Burnsy, you can't fool him. He knew when you were lying. He could tell. He just had a sixth sense of, when someone did something wrong. That was the cop in him. So he caught a lot of guys. I remember he caught Claude Lemieux. He was hiding in one of the chairs in the lobby with his back to the thing, and he just looked over his shoulder. And he caught Claude red-handed and suspended Claude for the game, and it was funny.
He never caught you. You didn't do anything wrong, though, right?
Oh no, I outsmarted all the coaches, including Jacques Lemaire.
Oh.
You've had a hell of a career. Let's look back to the beginning. Drafted 40th overall by the Habs, 81. What do you remember about coming to play in Montreal for the first time?
Again, I'd never been to Quebec. I mean, obviously I knew the history of the Canadiens because I watched them growing up against the Blackhawks. So, but not that I never realized, how intense the fans were. You miss a pass, they boo you. You make a mistake, you're getting booed. And I watched the first 5-6 games. I was injured from the Olympics, so I got to watch them play 5 or 6 games. And I'm going, man, this is a rough crowd. And it showed because I played terrible. I was actually really nervous going on the ice for the first time in my career. And it lasted like 13 games where I just couldn't play. And then we got in the playoffs and it started in the road. And it was a lot easier for me when I was younger to play on the road, not having to deal with that, that pressure of playing at home and doing well. But again, like things for me anyway, because I was a young defenseman and high expectations of getting off to a bad start. Once we went on that playoff run in '83 and beat Boston, beat Quebec and lost to the Islanders, walking in the dressing room, looking at Guy Lafleur, Larry Robinson, Bob Gainey, I was terrified, to be honest with you. I just shut my mouth and hopefully, I was hoping things would turn around for me.
When you first got there, Bob Gainey was your captain. What did you learn from him as your captain?
Everything.
That you could, everything, that you could use
Everything.
later on?
Yeah, when you're a rookie in Montreal, you don't say much. And I had guys, you mentioned Bob, Steve Shutt, Mario Tremblay, Pierre Mondu,
Larry. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can't say very much. If they tell you something, you better listen. And how do you argue with them? Because they've had so much success. They're such great players. And I think they make you understand what the team's all about. It's not about your individual, your goals, your assists. It's just about winning. And you can do that when you've won 5-6 cups. When you don't win, everybody's, trying to worry about themselves and trying to put up numbers. But the success that they had before I got there and that group of players you mentioned, especially Bob Gainey, he never said a lot, Bo, but when he did, you listened. That was probably the most important thing. And again, I was very respectful to any of the veteran players throughout my career. And that's probably what, taught me to be a better leader and a better teammate to my teammates.
Did you ever get in trouble with him? He's a quiet guy, but I bet if you tipped him off.
You're talking about Bob Gainey?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were neighbors, and I actually hung out with his kids a lot. So you get mad at me a little bit. One example would be nothing, that I would understand until he started telling us. But we would be winning a game 5-1. I'd take a chance, and all of a sudden, it's 5-2. And after the game, he'd take me aside and said, "Look, we were fine winning this game 5-1. Bob wanted to win games 2-1." 3-0. And I wanted to just keep scoring goals and getting assists. That's what I wanted. Not jeopardizing the team's success. But I figure if we got 5, why not get 8? So that was the problem I had with Bob. He'd already played long enough. I was trying to do well and get a big contract like everybody else.
Now, after he retired, you and Guy Carbonneau took over as co-captains. What was that like?
Yeah, I wasn't ready, to be honest with you. The pressure of being not only American or English, not being able to speak French, that bothered me a lot. I took French lessons, for a year and a half, but that just wasn't, enough. Obviously, there's that problem that, when Quebec was trying to separate from Canada and the separatists. And honestly, I'd never seen so many home fans, cheer for other teams just because of that, that friction between the English and the French. And not that anybody's right or wrong, but for me, it was really hard to understand that. I've never had to deal with that anywhere I played. So it was an honor, obviously, being chosen with Carbo. He's one of my best friends, and it was way better that we both were captains, co-captains. So we, rotated, and Carbo had to deal with the French and the English. And I, basically only deal with the English, but I wasn't ready for that. My career, I was too passionate on the ice. Undisciplined at sometimes, so Carbo was good. He's level-headed, quiet, and we were both good for each other, I think.
But we have to tell the people that was the players who vote.
Yeah.
So, so maybe if you say you were not ready, your teammates vote for you. So
yeah.
they believe in you.
Yeah, that part was great. And thank God the vote was a tie. At least that's what we heard. I think Search so far counted the votes. But, yeah. And honestly, it would have been – I don't think it wouldn't have been much fun just being captain by myself. There was way too much pressure. Not filling Bob's shoes. No one could do that.
Right.
But, again, I was well-liked by my teammates for sure, Patrice. That was most important to me. And had the respect of my teammates. But again, I still wasn't ready. And even when I got to Chicago and was named captain, little more prepared, but I just wasn't the type of player. Like Larry Robinson's a great example. He could never be a captain because he was too emotional and he had ups and downs, and he'd yell and scream after he got burned on a one-on-one. So but I would have been very content being an assistant captain. But at that point, who was going to do it? I don't know who could have done it at that point when it worked out for the best.
Yeah.
We've talked before about Montreal being, you're under a spotlight in Montreal when you play for the Canadiens. How did you handle the pressure over the years that you were there?
I mean, it didn't bother me one bit after, like I said, that first run in playoffs. I thought it was great having all attention and people taking care of you in restaurants and bars and, everybody being so nice to you. And when you're winning, there's no better place to be. When you're losing, you just stay home and hide. That's what I learned. You have a bad game.
It's still the case today.
Oh, I know. Patrice gets it. Like, when to go out and have a good time and you pick your spots. But you know what? It adds that pressure that some guys need, and you have to perform. You can't fool the fans. They know hockey. They understand the game. So if you're not working, you're not playing well, they're going to let you know. But the next game, if you're doing great and the team wins, they're going to let you know that too in a positive way, which is the great thing about the Montreal fans.
Introducing Advice Plus, a new way to create a plan together that keeps you heading in the right direction. We start by getting to know you better. Then we'll work together to build a plan that grows with you, adding personalized products and solutions along the way that can help you reach your goals tomorrow. We get to know you better to guide you better. Today and tomorrow. Advice Plus, only from Scotiabank.
Now, you two both have big personalities. The knock on players today is that hockey players don't have personalities, or at least we don't see them. You guys being so gregarious, what do you think? How much as a player should people see? Is it good because then you get to know them and you draw more fans in, or should it be like, we're giving it 100% tonight?
That's a great question, Chantal. I'm just telling you, we just talked about that. And, someone asked me that yesterday. What do you think? When you think of an NHL player, and, who do you think of? Like, who's the first guy that comes to mind that's got the charisma and and the game to back it? And honestly, I couldn't think. I mean, yeah, there's some great players, Crosby and Ovechkin and Kane and stuff, but it's almost like the world's become so sensitive, at least in the U.S. Canada, doesn't seem to, they got thicker skin up in Canada for sure. So, but it's become such a world of sensitivity. Guys are afraid to. They don't want to, I've never seen so many guys on their phones after games and on the bus and not communicating with each other. And then, as you talked about, like, in the U.S., I don't know who stands out, to be honest. We could be that guy. That could be the Michael Jordan or the Wayne Gretzky, was one of the greatest ambassadors for the sport. But it seems like our top guys, Taves, these guys that, winning cups, they don't want to be in the spotlight. They don't want to be that guy, that, represents the NHL. And no fault to them. You'd have to ask them.
And I think social media, it's a big part of that.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to know something about me, just look at my phone and, that's it.
Yeah.
And people in Montreal, they want to know about their players, where they're from, what they like, what they go for dinner. When you play for the Montreal Canadiens, you own them. The people own the players. They want to know, and where are you shopping? Where this? Where they want to know those things.
Yeah. Yeah, and the perfect example, I think you mentioned a player in Montreal, PK Subban. I think the fans of Montreal loved him, and love him or hate him. And I'm talking about the stuff off the ice. He's a character. He's got a personality. He's a great player. He was, back in the day, he was a great player. And you trade a kid like that, and I think everybody in Montreal loved him, and Quebec loved him. But unfortunately, when you're the top player, if you don't perform or something happens to the team, it's easy to blame that guy, calling him a distraction. And that's why guys shy away from, doing stuff away from the rink and going into social media and becoming, a type of icon in that field. And he's a perfect example. I think it worked, it worked great with him when they were succeeding, but when as soon as things started going a little bad on the ice, they seemed to want to blame him.
What do you think of guys having outside interests? You know, while you're playing, you're almost expected to focus 100%, but then all of a sudden hockey can be over. And a lot of guys don't have the next step because they focused all their attention on hockey. Like, it's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an all or nothing guy. So when I was playing, I committed to hockey and hockey alone. I never, I had restaurants and bars, in Chicago and Detroit, but all run by my family. Not a burden to me. It was just something to go somewhere and hang out with the fans and be a part of the fans. And, you talk about being sociable. I'm the most sociable person in the world, or in the league, I would say, making myself approachable to people. I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind. Everybody's nice to you. So that's why I went into the restaurant bar business, and mostly because I just bought the buildings and it was real estate deals. But as a player, other than, endorsements, I mean, I don't see too many guys doing a lot of business, and maybe, behind the scenes they do, but, not too many guys have bar restaurants while they play. And, it's tough. And I like I said, I'm kind of against it. When you're playing hockey, I believe you should have your agent handling the financial stuff. And of course you're involved a little bit, but hockey should be first and foremost before everything.
100% I agree with you, because every week I was asking, you want to invest that money in that business, restaurant, bar, so many business. And I always say, you know what? No, I'm focusing on hockey. I'm a hockey player. I'm not a businessman. Yeah. Maybe, when I'm going to get older, yes, but not now. Yeah. But you're right. That's we have so many opportunity. And sometimes, you know what? You think about it, said, hey, maybe, you know what? I can be great. I can make good money. But you know what? You never know. Because some people, they want to take advantage.
Yeah. And you make the connections as a player to hopefully, work with these people after your career. But like, there's some great examples. I remember Jeff Courtnall and Russ Courtnall got into that business, some type of mining business. And when they went bad and all the players in the NHL lost their money, you could see some guys, their careers like that at that time, they took a little dip. And I think Jeff Courtnall, because of the stress, lost 15, 20 pounds. So that's the other thing you have to worry about, is the effect it has on you on the ice too. You lose $100,000. You hear those stories about players losing money and all of a sudden they're not the same player. So you have to worry about that too.
Now, while you say you focused on hockey, you were just good at a bunch of other sports. Like, hockey wasn't the thing that you grew up thinking you were going to do to make money, right? You were good at baseball.
I was way better baseball player, and I actually loved baseball more than hockey. It just worked out the way it did because of my dad. And that's a long story. I can't get into that, but it was a good decision by him to take me out of baseball, I guess. I ended up doing all right. But, realistically, I never thought at my age anyway, coming out of Chicago, no one was making it into the NHL. I just wanted to get into college, get a degree. And I had my mind made up at a young age that I wanted to get into business. That's it. So I was going to get a business degree. So there was no pressure on me to make the NHL because I had no expectations of making it to the NHL. And then when it got to be a reality that I got drafted by Montreal and I was going to college, and then when I got chosen to the Olympic team, that's when I actually thought I had a shot to make the NHL. But not before that, did I? I really didn't. I was just playing because I loved playing hockey, and it just worked out for me that everything that was going bad for me before I was 17, 18, all of a sudden when I went to Moose Jaw, went really good for me. Just really fortunate.
How was it, Chris, to play in the Olympic? Representing your country, I'm sure it's something special.
Again, yeah, you're one of 22 guys gets chosen, every 4 years. It was amazing that, again, out of college, after my first year, again, I wasn't even thinking Olympics till after during my second year when things were going so well. And then I'll never forget my first, the march, the opening ceremonies in Sarajevo. That's where it hits you, because you're with all the athletes, marching through town, and they light the torch. And, we were lucky back then because we were able to participate in that. Now the NHL guys, or when I was in the NHL and go to the Olympics, you don't feel like part of the festivities, and you don't stay after. You have to go right back. So it's not the same. But, that first one was unbelievable, and such, I don't know if you played on world teams or, the world tournaments, but anytime you can represent your country, you're real fortunate, because only 22 guys a year get to do it. And there's so many great players in the league and around the world.
That's so fun. And what was your connection to bobsledding?
Oh my God, just a bunch of dumb Greeks. That's all. That was during the Olympics. I met the Greek bobsled guys in the cafeteria. You know, I kept an eye on them, watched them. And we just, the cafeterias in the village are you get everybody's together and all the countries and all the teams and all the sports. And I just did it because we had a lockout. And I figured, you know what, I'll help these guys raise some money. And if it goes long enough, the lockout, and I can compete, good. It was great. And I only competed in two World Cups, one in Calgary and one in Lake Placid. And it was great. The guys were great guys. We were on our heads more than we were on the sled the right way, which was no fun. Burned a hole right in my helmet and almost singed my hair. But it was, like I said, at first I thought this is fun. I thought, you know what, maybe I can help these guys. I'm a good runner. Maybe have a great start. But a great experience. And like I said, I didn't take it serious. I just wanted to have a good time.
Yeah, that's very fun. Are there any pictures of this that we can see?
I mean, if you Google Chelios bobsledding, I think in Calgary, they got me upside down. The sled's upside down. We're all Calgary, one of the top bobsled guys in Calgary. I can't remember his name, but he really ripped into me when he found out I was doing this. And there's a lot of training involved. There's no question these guys' legs were massive, compared to hockey players. A lot of them sprinters. But he ripped me really good in the paper. So the next day I went into the shed where everybody's equipment was, Canada's, Bahamas, all the countries. And I stole his gear and put it on the next time that we went down the hill. So he thought it was pretty fun. But yeah, it was a good experience. I'll tell you that. I had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's so fun. You seem to have fun in everything you do, which is awesome. Looking back to Montreal, what are some of your favorite memories from your time here?
Well, no question, the Stanley Cup, playing in the All-Star game, the friends I made. I really wish they would have been a little more patient with me. And I did find out eventually, why Serge traded me. I don't know if I can. I think I could tell it now. You guys probably
you're no longer gonna get in trouble for anything you say.
I promise. We promise.
I promised Serge I wouldn't tell anybody because I came up to him at one of the awards banquets and I cornered him. I said, Serge, why, I still really don't understand. He never spoke. And he did me a favor, by sending me to Chicago. But all it was basically was I had a bad knee, right? At the time, I'd hurt my knee a few times.
How's your knee now?
It's not great. But I could do it.
Those years.
Yeah, no, it hasn't changed too much. But I guess when they had the x-rays back then, it showed my knee had, bone on bone back then. And they thought he's not going to last. And the doctor told him, you better last. And it did look bad because then when I went to Chicago, the same thing. They looked at my MRIs and they traded me because they thought my knee was shot. But it didn't bother me till after I got to Detroit. And after 6 or 7 years, I found out, I had no ACL, which I didn't know. And I knew when I tore it, I just didn't fix it because, my legs were so strong, it wasn't moving. But eventually, I'm paying the price now.
Wow.
So,
well, you were really disappointed to get traded.
Yeah, devastated. And if it wasn't Chicago, I would have been, it would have affected me a long time. But, and things went well when I got to Chicago. They were on their way up. They had a great team. So you forget quick. You have to, But if things had gone bad and I wouldn't have succeeded in my hometown, and again, Patrice, you got to play in your hometown. There's nothing, one thing to make it the NHL, then you get to play in front of your hometown crowds. And being a French Canadian player for the Montreal Canadiens, I couldn't think of a better situation because, you're known everywhere. In Chicago, I could blend in, but, to be able to go back to my hometown where I grew up and learned the game, that was pretty special for me.
That's so awesome. In Montreal, what guys were you closest to back then?
Oh boy. We had a group of guys. We had 8 rookies my year. So like Tom Curvers, Kent Carlson, Alfie Turcotte, Brian Screwlin, Mike McPhee. Those two lived out in the suburbs right away because they had kids. But we had a group of guys, Shane Corson, Mike Keane, Carbo, hung out with Chris
Stefan Richer.
Yeah, we were a close team, like very close team. So we went out together. We didn't have cliques of, we only had two Swedish guys, Mats Naslund and Kjell Dahlin. So there weren't a lot of cliques. So we hung out together, and especially on the road, we all went out together. I remember all the times after practice that there'd be 14 guys across the street at that brasserie below the Alexis Neon there. So we had it was great atmosphere with the guys and with your teammates. So I hung around everybody, you know, and then later in my career started having, you know, I had the kid, you start hanging around married guys. That's how it works.
Yeah. Any good Patrick Waugh stories?
Oh boy. You know, he was quiet. When I was there, he was quiet. You know, Bob Gainey, when he left, he became a little more outspoken, and, you know, he went after the second cup, very outspoken. He's a hothead, but he was a great kid. We got along unbelievable. The best story I could think was on the airplane. He got locked somehow in the bathroom by himself in the airplane, and all we hear is the pounding and the screaming. And when he came out, it looked like he just played a game. His face was all red, and he was sweating. He had the worst panic attack ever that I've seen. But no, he was just a real calm. Patrick was calm when I was there, really calm. And then you played with him later, Patrice. He became a little more outspoken, I believe, with you guys. He became more of a leader, and right? You'd have to tell me that.
The thing is, with Patrick, I think for me it was the goalie was talking the most in the dressing room. No, usually the goalies are more like, you know, their own zone, and but Patrick was not shy to say, "Hey, come on, boys, you know what, we can play better," and this and that. It was the only one, and because he was so confident, and sometimes when you know, Chris, when you talk in the room, you have to perform after. You know, so many players, you know, it's easy. Come on, wake up, this and that, but you're going on the ice and you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I would prefer a guy, you know what, don't say anything, but show something on the ice.
Yeah.
And Patrick was both. You know, I heard things sometimes he was saying to players, you know what, hey, let's go, wake the, but saying that, he knows he's putting pressure on his shoulder, because it's easy to blame other players, but you know what, you have to perform after. And Patrick was able to do that.
He walked the walk, that's for sure. A lot like Michael Jordan. He was hard on his teammates, you know, but he went out there and did it. And Patrick was basically the same thing, you know.
Same thing, Chris. Yeah.
He hated losing.
Yeah.
Now, you officially retired at 48. I don't know if you know this. That's very old for a hockey player. Only Gordie Howe at 52 is older. What was the secret to your longevity?
I mean, again, I was lucky enough that I played for Detroit and was able to play there my last 10 years because we had such a good team. And I had no ego. I knew that now at this age, at 40, it could be over the next year, the following year. So I just, after losing the last 2 years in Chicago, having really disappointing years and not being able to carry the load anymore, playing, 25 to 30 minutes, when I got to Detroit, I just kind of fit in as a role player. At first when Scotty Bowman coached me, he still played me in a big role, power play, penalty kill, top four guy. And then 2-3 years later, I get to Mike Babcock, and basically then I'm just a mentor for the young kids, but I loved it. I was still top penalty killing unit with Nick Lidstrom, playing 14 to 20 minutes a game sometimes. And like I said, after losing for 2 years with Chicago, I figured it's better to play less and win than play more and lose. So I never, thought of retiring until they made the decision for me. And it was time. My knee was, if we gotten late in the playoffs, gone deep in the playoffs, my knee wouldn't have been able to handle it anymore. I barely got through that 2002 Cup there with 2006 or 7, I should say, freezing my knee every game, and then the freezing wasn't working anymore. So in my mind, I knew it wasn't possible to play that role that I had played all those years.
You know what, Chris, I admire you because playing until 48 years old, you know what, it's sick. I know you're passionate about the game, but your body, you know what, I was 37, 38, after 18 years, some morning I can't walk. I can, my back, I had 2 back surgery. And I'm like, I'm watching you like 42, 43, 44, 45. And you were playing still like 16, 18, 20 minutes a game.
Yeah. Well,
that's amazing, Chris. That's wow. I don't know how you do that, but what's your secret? I want to know your secret.
I'll tell you right now. I mean, everybody works hard. I know that. I think I worked hard earlier than most people, like in the early 90s, and I was ahead of the game there a little bit when it came to training. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give it to like my mom and dad, our genetics. They're in great shape. My dad passed, but he was still, rock solid, great legs. So my mom's 88, and I watched her run the other day a little bit, trying to get back in the house. So his genetics too, like that part, that I believe in that whole Greek thing, Leonidas and all these Greek gods. So that gold that is in my hair, believe it or not, it's not colored. When it turns gold, my mind's telling me it's coming from up somewhere with the Greek people. I don't even believe in God, but I believe in these Greek warriors. So I'll just answer with that, Patrice.
Okay.
Okay. So be a Greek of Greek heritage and blame it on the Greek gods, and that's how you lasted.
Absolutely.
Give us some fitness and nutrition tips. Like, was it just chicken breasts and green beans every day for 40 years? Did you ever have ice cream?
Honestly, and no one's going to believe me, but I was 188 pounds when I turned pro, probably my second year of college, and I'm still 188 pounds. I could eat anything I want. When you got 4 kids, even if you don't order the McDonald's, you end up eating half their food. I eat dessert. I eat everything. But my friend Laird Hamilton, the surfer, once said, a hot flame will burn anything. So as long as you train and exercise, and I figured out it's pretty simple. Whatever you take in, you burn. If you're going to eat 1,500 calories, try and burn 1,700 while you're training, or, at least 1,000 a day. Like if I don't work out some days, I just don't eat as much. I keep it pretty simple. So, but no, I eat everything. And, and if I feel like I've eaten too much, then I'll train more. But again, genetics. My mom and dad, same weight their whole lives. And my mom, like I said, I wish you guys see my mom. Wearing her cheetah pants and her tight pants. And so it's amazing how good a shape she's still in. And my aunt and my uncle, they just got great genetics. They're 92, 90, and 88.
You were inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2013. What did that honor mean to you? Were you expecting the call? Did you see it on your call display and you were like, whoa, this is cool?
No, I mean, they gave me a heads up.
Okay.
Obviously, after my career and playing as long as I did and being American, I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of assumed I was going to get in the Hall of Fame. Most, people talk about it, whatever, but it's still surreal for sure. I don't think Gary Bettman called me. I don't think he likes me very much. But yeah, getting the call, it was Pat Quinn had called me, and it was a great conversation with me, Shani, and Niedermeyer. And I'm sorry about the girl, the Irish girl. I'm sorry, no disrespect to her. I can't remember her name. One of the first inductees, and I had the best time of my life with her at the All-Star event with her and her family. They didn't have a lot of money, and I invited her and her mom and dad just right off the boat in Ireland to our party, and they had the time of their lives. And if you could find out who that was, tell her I'm sorry. But
Wow.
I'll never forget her. She was such a great girl and respectful and thankful. But again, it was all about I had 100 people there from mostly, the U.S. and, crossing the border. And as hard as it was, to get over there, I had, more people than anybody and accommodated everybody. The party at Wayne Gretzky's, bar the night before, having Kid Rock perform, was crazy. And my friends will never forget it. They still talk about it. It was one of the best nights, best 2 nights of my life. My parents were both there. It was great. Family, kids. Yeah.
Chris, Hall of Famer, 3 Stanley Cup, but 3 Norris Trophy. That's pretty amazing. When you say you're the best defenseman in the world, that's a great accomplishment.
Yeah. And like I said, I never expected. I wanted to, once I realized I can make the NHL, I just wanted to make it. Then the competitiveness in you're playing against Ray Bourque, and you've always been friends, but I hated him.
You want to be exactly me too. Same thing, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. We were respectful of each other before the games. Morning skates, they'd come on the bench, you say hi, but I wanted to beat him, and I wanted to beat Paul Coffey. I wanted to beat Scott Stevens and
McInnes and
yeah. So I mean, never expected to beat them, but it happened 3 times, so I'll take it.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Wow.
Geraldine Heaney was the.
Thank you very much. If Geraldine sees this. Hi, Geraldine. Happy St. Patty's Day. You deserve it more than anybody.
We were speaking about other interests, acting. So we spoke with Alex Kovalev last week, and he talked about wanting to be an actor for a while before he got into coaching. But you also had the acting bug, at least briefly, the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I had the bug, Chantal. What I did was someone backed out at the last minute, and it just happened to be in Malibu where they were shooting that day. And I said, if I go, sometimes you know how it is on the set. You could be there 8 hours and then you go up there for 3 minutes and that's it, you're done. So the deal I made with them was, I'll come, but I want to be the first scene and I want to get a shot and it's over. So they did it, and it was great. I did it with Luke Robitaille, I think Cam Neely, I can't remember everybody that was there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But I really didn't like the acting thing. I did a couple of commercials they're okay. Those are better because it's a little quicker. But unless you're getting paid, I don't like seeing myself on TV. And I actually realized that I couldn't sit in a trailer. Like if you became one of those guys, I could not sit in a trailer. The amount of time they do, it would drive me. That's why they're all crazy. Those celebrities, they sit, they're all nuts. So that wasn't me.
All the guys that live in your area, they all they relate to the sitting in the trailer because they're all stars on TV.
Yeah. I mean, a lot, like I said, most of them, the top guys like John Cusack for sure. Great actor. DB Sweeney, but they got their issues, everybody's got their issues, I got mine, but theirs seem a little deeper.
How'd you like being in the media after you hung up your skates? You worked as a TV analyst for a little bit. Did you like that? Yeah. You know what? I was supposed to just be an ambassador, and somehow they roped me into doing the in between the period, I don't know what you call them, just the color. And I did it with a young girl just out of college. And it actually ended up being a really good experience. And she didn't know a lot about hockey, but as the year progressed, she got better. And that's how it is. I have a daughter in that business. She works for Tampa Bay Lightning, and it's repetitive. And it's amazing how quickly she got better. And I was really happy to see her succeed. And she's still there now. And it wasn't what I wanted to do, but I actually enjoyed it. And then doing ESPN, during the Canada Cups and the World Cup was a blast with Brett Hull. I had a great time doing that. I like short stints. I don't think I'd enjoy it, especially if I had to travel. I just don't want to travel anymore. That would be the grind. And I really, after I got into, coaching and with the Detroit Red Wings, I was lucky enough that they let me do it part-time, no traveling. But then I got so spoiled, being around my kids and my family and going where I wanted to. I could never go back to coaching or anything, 8 months a year, ever. Yeah, like me. You know what, Chris? I did 2 years player development. Yeah. You're always on the road, always by yourself in the airplane, at the hotel, at the rink. After 2 years, I say, you know what? That's not for me. That's not for me. The traveling was ridiculous. And I would prefer more be, in a team, coaching staff. At least you would, with somebody. Yeah. And I feel very, very difficult at that job. Yeah. Yeah. I spent a lot of time in the car alone driving to Grand Rapids. I really didn't enjoy it. Sometimes 3 days a week. And I'm not going to cry for us. We all have a great career. It's a great life playing in the NHL, but the after part, I played so long too, I missed out on a lot of stuff with my 4 children. They all played sports, Division I sports. So I just wanted to make up for it. And I did, they got to, I never missed a game for any reason once I was retired. Yeah. How hard is it? You have 2 boys, right? 2 boys, 2 girls? Yeah. Yeah. How hard is it, do you think, to follow in the footsteps if you are going to be a hockey player and your dad is Chris Chelios? You know what? You don't realize it. And my kids are pretty quiet, respectful kids. And one for sure, I know it bothered my one son. He's more like his mother a little bit. He's laid back and you can tell it by, and I think he struggled with it after, not making it. Like Jake made it at least to a level American League and got to play about 7-8 games with the Wings. But again, that's when your parenting comes in. You talk to them how proud you are. And the girls were great. They played lacrosse. I loved women's lacrosse, and they were totally opposite to the kids. Kaylee was mean and feisty and like her dad, and the other one was like her mom. But she made it, which was great because they played for Kelly Amante. I don't know if you guys knew, Northwestern, the women's lacrosse team won 7 national championships in 10 years. So, they both made, one of the best teams, in the nation. So that was, and it's an amazing school too, to get a degree.
So it was great. And like I said, I'm sure it was tough on the boys at times. I mean, I'd sit in crowds and they'd be chanting Chelios sucks, to the kids. And I'm like, God, can you believe
Not
it?
again?
Yeah. You've got parents staring at me. I got to get out of here. So.
That's funny. You mentioned your daughter, Kaylee, with Tampa. I saw that she was just part of the all-female broadcast. What do you think of more and more women getting into leadership roles in sport?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I look back at my sisters. They never had that opportunity in that, this late 60s, early 70s. There was no opportunity, not to even play hardly any sports. So any women who made it back then, I tip my hat to them, because there was, my dad, committed to me and my brother. And that's just the way it was. And now, the way things are now, and seeing all these women excelling in every single position there is, work, sports, it's fantastic. And then to see my daughter, every year getting better, and all the, how much she loves it. It's great. And that's the movement now. And it should be equal for everybody. Especially if you put in your time and you work and you earn it, it shouldn't be given to you just because you're a woman or that. You got to earn it, and these women are earning it.
Patrice, you have 2 daughters. You must see this too.
I agree with Chris. That's, as a father, you just give them, confidence. If that's what you want to do, the sky's the limit. And that's what I said to my girls. And whatever you want to do, just give 100% and believe in yourself. And you're going to make it. And they're doing very, very good at school. I'm very, very proud. And I'm sure they're going to do something good in their life.
Yeah. It's hard work. That's it, Patrice. It's just all about hard work. And then when you get your chance, you make the most of it. Yeah.
Now, Scotiabank is the main sponsor of the Alumni Lounge. So let's talk about money before we wrap up. When you signed your first big contract, what was your first big purchase?
Oh, boy. What did I buy? I bought a 19... something Bronco, a big truck. I didn't buy it till I came back the next year. I bought a Bronco, like the OJ Broncos, those big oversized trucks. I mean, it was a wrong truck for Montreal, I'll tell you that. All the skinny streets, it was dumb to buy that truck. So I learned, but yeah, that was it. And you mentioned Scotiabank. That's where my first bank. That's where I banked, right on. It was just kitty corner from the old Forum. What street's that? St. Catherine Street, actually, in
Atwater.
Atwater, yeah, right on that corner. I'll never forget. I never had a checkbook, never had a credit card. That's the first time I ever had any of that stuff. And they were babysitting me with my financials, because at that time, obviously, I wasn't married and didn't have a clue what I was doing.
We've been asking everybody before they go, one fun fact that people don't know about you.
Everybody knows everything about me. All right. I like to have a good time, obviously, and I travel, and I'm not good at sitting still. So I've been involved in a lot of fun stuff over the years, mostly because, my career and who I was as an NHL player. But, the charity events, you meet a lot of people at charity events, the celebrities and athletes. That's where it started. It started at the Montreal General Hospital, the visits the Canadiens made. And that's where I learned, that was part of your responsibility as a player, to help out others, and children especially, which was what we learned in Montreal at that children's hospital. So, again, always treated people good. I hope, people treated me well. And that's pretty much the bottom line.
My best memory, thinking about you, the first time I met you, I'm 16 years old. Donnie Meehan called my parents, said, we want to meet with Patrice because he's a top, prospect. And I want to invite him to the Forum. And after that, we're going to, meet some players. So Donnie Meehan asked me, he said, who's your favorite players? And I said, Chris Chelios. He said, oh, good. He says, you know what? He's my client. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm 16 years old. So after the game, we met. And you brought me a stick, and I still have that stick.
Wow.
Today. So
That's
you know
awesome.
what? That was a big impact, because I always like you, the way you were playing, every game, you play with so much passion. And the first game I played against you, okay? You're in Chicago, yep. I'm in Montreal. And a little scrub, and guys pushing and somebody's pushing me. And I turn around. That was you. You push me. Yeah. And I push you back. And you push me and you push you back. And I look at you like, I don't know if you want to drop or, but I'm like, and after the game I said, almost fight my idol. That was like, but I was ready because.
But you should have dropped your gloves then, because I'd never not drop mine if someone drops it first. Might not drop it first.
I know you weren't.
Glad we did.
you weren't an intense guys and an intense player, and whatever it take, you were ready. Yeah. And I was same thing. I wasn't a fighter, but if something happened, I know I defend myself.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being respectful. I it's probably out of respect. And I honestly remember you saying that publicly, that I was one of your favorite players when you first turned, were on the Canadiens.
Yeah.
I was so mad when I played Montreal all the time. I went after Recchi. I hated you because, I felt you took my spot. I started hating Desjardins, who I loved him a lot. I just wanted to kill every defenseman on the team.
Yeah. Don't worry. I knew it. But that was okay. That was it's part of the game. But, I respect you so much. And, your career you had, it's incredible. More than 1,600 games, Stanley Cup. But when hockey is, it's small community, and everybody who play with you, they love you, Chris, because you're real teammates, and the guys they love to play with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And same to those guys. I loved every one of my teammates.
I mean, if you want, we could set up like a fight between you guys now. You can make up for that.
I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover, Chantal.
Yeah. No, I want my nose where it is. I like it where it is. As big as it is, I don't care.
Awesome. Well, we haven't laughed this hard in ages. So thank you so much for that, Chris. You were wonderful.
You bet, Chantal. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you guys about the old days. It was great. Patrice, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Well, that's it for the Alumni Lounge this week. Thank you all for joining us and for taking a stroll down memory lane. Very fun. We'll be back next week with another wonderful Montreal Canadiens alumni. The Alumni Lounge can be subscribed to anywhere you find your podcasts. It's also on YouTube, also available en français. We alternate each week between French and English. So search for Le Salon des Anciens to check it out. See you next time.
This program is brought to you by ScotiaAdvice Plus. A simple conversation today can help you reach your goals tomorrow. Only from Scotiabank.